Welcome to Higher Learning Hub. In this presentation, we are going to break down one of the most misunderstood reasons people get stuck. A lot of people think procrastination means laziness, but many ambitious people are not lazy at all. They are overloaded. They are carrying too many open decisions, too many unclear goals, and too many unfinished loops in their head. This session is about replacing decision chaos with personal architecture. Not hype, not shame, not another motivational speech. We are going to look at how better systems help you move. Here is the first mindset shift. You may not be lazy. You may be overloaded. When your goals are vague, your next steps are unclear, and every action requires another internal debate, your brain starts to stall. That delay can look like procrastination from the outside, but internally, it often feels like mental traffic. You are not avoiding the work because you do not care. You may be avoiding the work because the system around the work is not clear enough yet. The real issue is not always discipline. Sometimes the real issue is unresolved decisions. A bottleneck happens when too much pressure tries to move through one narrow point. In your personal life, that narrow point can become you. If every task depends on your mood, your confidence, your energy, or perfect clarity, then progress has to wait for the perfect emotional state. That is dangerous because mood changes, energy changes, confidence changes. A better system does not require you to feel perfect before you move. A better system gives you a clear next step, even when your emotions are not fully aligned. That is where personal architecture begins. Decision chaos sounds like this. What should I do first? Am I ready? Is this the right move? What if I fail? What if I waste time? What if I choose wrong? Those questions may seem normal, but when they repeat every day, they drain your execution power. The brain is forced to keep reopening the same tabs. Nothing gets closed. Nothing gets resolved. Everything stays active in the background. That is why a person can feel exhausted before doing the actual work. The work is not always the hard part. Sometimes deciding how to start becomes the real workload. Every repeated decision creates a tax. If you wake up every day and ask, should I work out? That is a decision tax. If you ask, should I study today? That is a decision tax. If you ask, should I apply for jobs, build my portfolio, post content, or clean up my workspace? That is another decision tax. The more decisions you remake, the less energy you have for execution. This is why successful systems reduce unnecessary decisions. They do not leave everything open for debate. They make the important moves obvious, repeatable, and easier to start. Motivation is useful, but motivation is not the system. Motivation says, I want the outcome. Architecture says, here is the next step. That difference matters. You can want a better career, a stronger body, a cleaner business, a stronger brand, or a more disciplined life. But wanting the result does not automatically create a path. Architecture creates the path. It turns the goal into steps, the steps into routines, and the routines into visible progress. At Higher Learning Hub, the focus is not just inspiration. The focus is usable learning that turns into movement. One of the simplest ways to reduce decision chaos is to create default rules. A default rule is a decision you make once so you do not have to remake it every day. For example, before entertainment, apply to 2 jobs. Before scrolling, study for 30 minutes. Before opening social media, review today's top 3 priorities. Before starting a new project, finish one small open task. These rules do not have to be complicated. They need to be clear. The goal is to remove the daily negotiation. When the rule is already set, your brain does not need to debate. It just needs to execute. Big goals are important, but big goals can also create pressure. Fix my career is too large. Change my life is too vague. Build my business is too broad. Get disciplined is not specific enough. The brain needs a smaller unit of action. Instead of saying, fix my career, say, update one resume section today. Instead of saying, build my brand, say, draft one post outline. Instead of saying, start the business, say, write the offer in one paragraph. Small execution units reduce pressure. They give the mind something concrete to complete. That is how momentum starts. Many people wait to feel confident before they act. But confidence usually comes after repeated execution, not before it. Confidence is the receipt. It is proof that you showed up, took action, survived the uncertainty, and built evidence. You do not need full confidence to begin. You need a clear enough step. Every completed action sends a signal back to your mind. I can move. I can finish. I can improve. That signal matters. The more evidence you build, the less your identity depends on hope. It starts to depend on proof. At some point, ambition needs an operating system. Your personal operating system does not have to be complex. It needs 5 parts. First, a priority system. This tells you what matters most. Second, a decision system. This tells you what rules guide your choices. Third, an execution system. This tells you how work actually gets done. Fourth, a review system. This helps you learn from what happened. Fifth, a recovery system. This protects your energy so you do not burn out. This is how you stop depending on random motivation. You start building a structure that can carry you forward. Your environment is not neutral. Your laptop, notebook, calendar, desk, phone, studio, lab, or workspace can either support action or preserve procrastination. If your tools are scattered, your notes are lost, your calendar is ignored, and your workspace feels chaotic, your brain has to fight the environment before it can even begin the work. But when your space is prepared, your next step becomes easier to see. A clean notebook, a visible checklist, a ready calendar, and a focused workspace can reduce friction. Your environment should not just look productive, it should make action easier. Here is a simple 7-day reset. Day 1. Identify the bottleneck. Where are you stuck? Day 2. Define the next step. Make it small and specific. Day 3. Create one default rule. Decide once. Day 4. Remove friction. Clear the obstacle that keeps slowing you down. Day 5. Execute for 30 minutes. Do not overcomplicate it. Day 6. Track the result. What happened when you moved? Day 7. Repeat and refine. Improve the system, not just the effort. This is not about becoming perfect in 1 week. It is about proving to yourself that movement can be designed. Your come-up is not waiting on more motivation. It is waiting on better architecture. When you reduce decision chaos, your energy becomes available for execution. When you define the next step, pressure turns into movement. When you build default rules, your day becomes less dependent on mood. When you create a personal operating system, ambition becomes easier to manage. The goal is not to shame yourself into action. The goal is to design a structure that helps you move when motivation is low, clarity is incomplete, and life is still demanding. That is real personal development. Here is the closing question. What decision are you tired of remaking every day? That question matters because repeated decisions reveal where your system is missing. Maybe it is when to study. Maybe it is when to apply for opportunities. Maybe it is when to create content, clean your workspace, work out, read, save money, or start the project you keep postponing. Do not just promise yourself you will try harder. Design the next step. Stop debating the work. Build the rule. Reduce the friction. Execute the smallest meaningful action. That is how decision chaos becomes movement. This is R.W. Beckom with Higher Learning Hub. Build the system. Move with clarity. Keep going. Stop debating the work. Design the next step. Thank you for watching. Presented by R.W. Beckom Enterprises and Higher Learning Hub.